Hi guys, thanks for stopping by to watch my video. Let me guess, you're watching this on your mobile or wait, you're watching this on your computer or laptop. Doesn't matter, you're watching this to learn something new. But before we get into our video, let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever opened your smartphone, laptop, or your personal computer or any other electronic device? If you have, then you would have found a green color board. This is usually called as motherboard of that electronic device. This board will have lots of micro components such as transistors, resistors, capacitors and many more. But have you seen a wire? There won't be a wire that connects all the components. All the components will be interconnected in a different manner. This is achieved with the help of PCB. PCB stands for printed circuit board. Again, without a PCB, there won't be an electronic device. At least a small PCB will be there. When all the electronic depends on PCB, then there must be something special in it. In this video, we will see what makes PCB special along with its working. Now let's get into today's video. PCB was invented in the year 1936. Before 1936, it was just wires. Now let's see how PCB is done and then its working. The first step of PCB manufacturing starts by its designing. The designs are done using computers. There are many PCB designing softwares, out of which Autodesk Eagle, KiCad and DesignSpark PCB are well known, easy to learn and also free to use. You can get these from Get Into PC website. The designing is very important and lots of care must be taken. Even one component misplacement or change of position in the circuit design will cause problems during and after manufacturing. Once the design is done, the raw materials are imported. The main materials are copper with glass sheets. These are cut into required sizes using the cutting machines. The size varies and they must be accurate. If there is an improper cut, then the PCB may not be suitable for the particular device. After cutting down to the particular size, we use the CNC machine. CNC stands for Computerized Numerical Control. Using the CNC, we drill the holes in the required places for the specified electronic components. The drilling is done with the help of the PCB design, that is done using the softwares. Now we will get into the main part, the PCB tracking. This is important as this creates the connections between the electronic components without the actual wires. This is done using UV light in a dark room. The obtained PCB board is placed on the UV light. This is sensitive to lights. So, in order to avoid any issues, it is done in a dark room. In the UV light, the track gets exposed. Track will be done with the help of the PCB design. Once the tracking is done, it is cleaned with water. The cleaning helps to make the track visible. To make it more clear and permanent, ink is used. This ink is pressed on the copper PCB. With this ink, the tracks become more clear. The copper sheets are then taken to electronic oven. This helps to dry the ink completely and makes the path permanent. This is taken out from the oven after 15 to 20 minutes and sent into the etching machine. This machine will spray ammonium on the copper PCB. The additional copper on the PCB will be removed. This is cleaned once by the water and then sent to the brushing machine. This will clean the complete PCB once. However, the additional copper would have been removed in the etching machine. So we will have the exact PCB with the path and spacing for components. At this stage, the PCB will be in gold color. Then masking is done. In this, the PCB is printed with green color for components and white color for LED boards. This will act as a protection for the internal path of copper. This copper path will act as a wire when the components are attached on the top of the masked layer. After masking, it is kept in oven at a temperature of 130 to 150 degrees Celsius for about half an hour. Finally, the required components are attached using automated machines. Empty PCBs are sold in shops for the students. This is the manufacturing procedure of PCB. Now let's get into its working. The path which is below the masked layer will generally have hundreds of copper wires. This acts as the path for the current flow between the components. To understand the working, let's take the motherboard of a computer. The motherboard is a PCB with components such as microchips, transistors, resistors, capacitors, connectors, LEDs and many more. If it is without the components, then it is called as PCB and not motherboard. The processor in the computer is connected with the help of a connector. These connectors will have the pins that will help the processor to exactly match and get the required current flow. Placing the processor in a wrong direction will lead to damage of the processor. This is the main reason that most of the processors and connectors in the motherboard will have a white color triangle printed on it to indicate how the processor must be placed. The processor area in the PCB is known as SoC or system on chip. This processor then acts as a brain for the computer. This connects with all the traces, that is wires, to all the components on the motherboard. From the SoC, the wires are given to the connectors of hard disk, RAM, etc. To know about RAM in Tamil, click on the I button. This is explained well by YouTube is easy. Again, getting back to our topic, the RAM, hard disk, SSD, CD drives, pen drive readers and most of the others are connected to the board using the connectors. The traces from SoC is given to the connectors, which will have the capacitor and resistors in between to control and provide the required power flow. Note that the traces will never overlap or meet, as this may lead to malfunction due to the unwanted power flow with the components, leading to a complete circuit damage. At the same time, if there is more number of traces, then this improves the response time. Due to this, we can see more traces at the SoC than in any other area of the motherboard. The size of the PCB will be very less. It will approximately be less than 2 mm for computers, laptops and others, while less than 1 mm for smartphones. Further, what to be read and when to be read will be said by the softwares and operating system OS. Based on this, the hard disks, SSD, RAMs and others work. For example, when we press the button of the CD drive, the power signal is sent to the SoC, which gives to the processor. Now, the processor will give the power signal as high through the traces to the connector of the CD drive that is attached. With this power, our CD drive opens. Similarly, other external devices. This is how PCB helps in reducing wires and further working at a proper and great way without causing any damage. The major advantage of PCB over wire is that there won't be any cut, removal of connection with the SoC and components. Further, there is no overlap with the traces. The glass, which is said earlier, will be between each layer of copper to act as an insulator and avoid overlap of copper traces. There will be few holes on the motherboard which aren't for screws. These holes help to communicate with other copper traces and pass signals. These are known as vertical interconnect axes, in short VIA. So it is important to note that the screws must not be placed in those holes while building your PC. To avoid this sort of problems, the manufacturers will help us identify the screw holes by drawing a white circle around it. So we can screw the PCB in places where there is a white circle and not in all the places. There are 3 types of VIAs. Through hole is the first one. It connects all the traces from top to bottom. Second one is blind VIA. This connects either top or bottom of the traces. Buried VIA is the third one. This connects the internal layers to one another in the traces. Hope you understood the manufacturing and working of PCB. If you are interested to work with PCB, then try to completely learn the PCB designing. This helps you to easily get into PCB manufacturing companies. But do remember that you must have some knowledge on the basics of electronic components such as resistors, capacitors, etc. Do support YouTube is easy for more videos in Tamil. That's it for now. Meet you all in my next video. Thanks for watching this. If you like this video, hit that like button. Do share it with your friends and comment down on what topic we need to speak next. Don't forget to subscribe and press that bell icon to get instant notification for my upcoming videos. Until then, don't forget to think big.